There are places in the Roman world where you do not have to imagine what a temple looked like, because the temple is still here. Columns still carry weight. Walls still follow ancient geometry. This is not a list of broken ruins. It is a list of buildings that still function as architecture. One of these temples predates the Parthenon, another surpasses it in scale, and a third still solves the engineering problem it was built for in the 2nd century. Most people who visit the former empire never see any of them. If you think you have seen the ancient world, this list will prove you have not. Ready? Let's roam. Number 8. Temple of Portunus, Rome. Portunus, completed near the end of the Republic, stood beside the Forum Boarium, the customs district where imported goods entered Rome. This was not a prestige monument, it was administrative architecture. The podium concentrates movement to a single axis, one of the earliest examples of Rome using design to control how people approached a sacred space. Goods, taxes, and legal oversight passed this threshold, which tied the temple to state authority rather than symbolism. When it became the Church of Santa Maria Egisiaca, the roof line and drainage were repaired instead of dismantled, which is why the structure survived. Even the stucco pretending to be marble reveals a transitional economy, trying to appear imperial before it truly was. Stand at the entrance, and the stairs still frame the river crossing, the market road, and the point where the city begins. Portunus reads like an origin point, the silhouette the empire eventually exported. Number 7. Temple of Hercules Victor, Rome. Built around 120 to 80 BCE, Hercules Victor shows Rome testing Greek marble architecture before it held power in the Aegean. The marble came from Greek quarries at a time when Rome still relied on trade, not dominance. Inscriptions confirm Hercules was tied to commerce, so the placement near the port was functional. A landmark for merchants, not decoration. The round plan and continuous entablature distributed seismic stress in a way later engineers recognized as structurally advantageous. When it became a church, the structure was too central to tear down. If you walk the perimeter, the columns frame the river, the road, and the skyline. It is one of the few temples in Rome that can be experienced in 3 dimensions rather than reconstructed in imagination. Number 6. Temple of Antoninus and Faustina, Roman Forum. Dedicated in 141 CE and rededicated in 161, this temple marks a political transition. Memory became architecture. The inscription preserves Faustina's name, which is rare for a woman unless the building was part of imperial messaging. Bronze fittings were stripped in late antiquity when Rome's economy shifted to metal salvage, leaving scars across the facade. After conversion into San Lorenzo in Miranda, the Christian builders worked inside the structure rather than replacing it. That choice saved the building. When archaeologists lowered the Forum in the 1800s, they uncovered the original staircase exactly where ancient elevation plans predicted. This building does not need reconstruction to be understood. It is a structure with an unbroken biography. Number 5. Temples of Paestum, Campania. Paestum's temples predate Rome, and after the conquest in the 270s BCE, it became a Latin rites city. This meant legal obligations, military duty, and administrative identity under Roman authority, which placed the temples inside ongoing civic budgets. That legal status helps explain the survival. The temples were not relics, they were civic anchors. Their Doric refinements, including entasis and curved platforms, belong to a mathematical tradition the Romans respected. Roman magistrates continued to use the space for markets and civic functions, so maintenance funding stayed active through multiple eras, which is why the temples survived into the modern landscape instead of dissolving into archaeology. Inscriptions and brick stamps confirm activity under imperial authority. During World War II, Allied pilots used the temples as navigation references during the Salerno landings because their geometry was unmistakable from the air. Twice in history, the landscape adjusted around the temples instead of the other way around. Number 4. Temple of Concordia, Agrigento, Sicily. Built around 430 BCE, Concordia entered Roman control after the Punic Wars when Sicily became the first Roman province. The ridge became a strategic administrative corridor for taxation, shipping oversight, and legal authority. In the 6th century CE, Bishop Gregory of Agrigento ordered its conversion into a church. Internal arches and bracing were added. Modern seismic studies indicate those reinforcements acted like an internal frame, absorbing energy that shattered nearby structures. Pigment traces confirm it was once painted, and the stone we see today is only the final layer. Concordia is not just the best preserved temple in Sicily. It is evidence that continuity preserves more effectively than reconstruction. Number 3. Maison Carrée, Nîmes, France. Built between 4 and 7 CE, Maison Carrée is architecture functioning as propaganda. It was dedicated to Gaius and Lucius, heirs of Augustus, and placed at the heart of a provincial capital to display Roman legitimacy. Charters list the structure as a church by the 4th century, as a civic hall by the 11th, and as a storehouse in the 17th. Every identity required upkeep. This is why it stands straighter than many temples that were left alone to decay. Renaissance architects measured it as a reference document, and Thomas Jefferson used it as the model for the Virginia state capitol. Maison Carrée is not merely preserved. It is a living archive. Rome did not just build here, it left instructions. Number 2. Temple of Bacchus, Baalbek, Lebanon. The Temple of Bacchus represents the imperial high point of Roman engineering. Built in the 2nd century CE, probably under Antoninus Pius, it was part of a triad of sanctuaries. The terrace blocks weigh as much as 800 tons and belong to a building tradition older than Rome. Relief panels inside show wine production and Bacchic rites, suggesting the temple linked agriculture, identity, and spirituality. Archaeological studies on seismic fatigue show the interlocking courses distribute pressure, which explains the survival through earthquakes that destroyed nearby buildings. The approach is choreographed. The stairway narrows your perspective, and the hall releases it upward. Without ritual, the building still performs its original function: scale, orientation, and awe. Number 1. The Pantheon, Rome. Rebuilt between 118 and 128 CE, the Pantheon is the thesis of Roman engineering. The dome's diameter and height both measure 43.3 meters, forming a perfect internal sphere, and the concrete lightens by elevation, with travertine at the base, brick and tuff in the mid-shell, and pumice at the crown to reduce weight. The coffering cuts load by about a fifth, which lets the dome stand without internal reinforcement. The porch columns came from quarries in Egypt, shipped down the Nile, moved across the Mediterranean, then hauled overland to Rome, a supply chain that proves the Pantheon was logistics made permanent, not just architecture. In 609 CE, Pope Boniface IV consecrated it as Santa Maria ad Martyr and installed relics to justify Christian ownership, which placed the building inside maintenance budgets and kept it from being stripped like other temples. The oculus vents heat, stabilizes the shell, and aligns light on dates tied to imperial anniversaries with accuracy that implies calculation, not intuition. Even the drainage system beneath the marble floor still works during modern rain. The Pantheon is not only the best preserved temple of the Roman world, it is a functioning ancient mechanism. It survives not as an artifact of Rome, but as evidence of how Rome worked. These temples survived because every era put them to work. Architecture lasted here because it was used, not just admired. If you want more history, you can actually visit. Hit the like button, comment with the temple you would see first or the place you want covered next, and subscribe to keep exploring the ancient world one location at a time. If you want to follow up on lost Roman cities you can still walk through today, tell me in the comments. Until next time, keep roaming.